Hey mates, and welcome to a special episode of Blindformers. I'm your host, Blind Prime, and for today I'm going to be teaching you how to assemble an action figure flight stand with a flexible metal arm. Yeah, that's what it says on Amazon. That's its listing. I just told you. No worries though, if you're going to be like me, like, how in the world am I supposed to find that? I'm going to put a link in the description of this video, so please check out the description for the link to that product. I think it's a pretty cool product. I have for you 3 of the Voyager class Seekers from Transformers Siege, and they're all each on their own individual little pole, and these 3 flight stands are connected together because this is a really cool flight stand system that allows you to connect the bases together so that you can get nice little poses like these 3 guys are posed together. I think it's really cool. I think it's an awesome little flight stand, and no more do we have to worry about our arms for our flight stands just randomly snapping. I don't know about the rest of you, but those Ubitsu flight stands or whatever they were called, I talked about them on the channel. I thought they were pretty cool. Years later, I'll randomly hear a crash and go, well, that was another flight stand finally giving way. That hasn't happened with these guys, and I'm hoping that because it's metal, it doesn't happen anymore. So let's get into the assembly process for this. I've got the last of the 4 packages that you get when you purchase this. It's $20, and you get 4 of these flight stands that do combine together. You also get a screwdriver in the box. I think that's kind of a nice little bit. Where's that screwdriver at? So everyone can see it. There it is. The little screwdriver comes in the box. You don't have to worry about finding one for yourself if you don't have a screwdriver. Now let's go ahead and slide these guys over here. I do enjoy the fact that I can now kind of put all of my Seekers together in one nice little spot. Now we're going to first and foremost, before even opening this bag, we're going to find our little box here. We got our bin where we're keeping the excess stuff, and there should be a bin lid. Here it is. So I like to make sure I have this lid so I can put all the all the little pieces on the lid when I'm assembling them. And that's because I'm blind and I need to make sure I keep a small area that's clean and organized, so I can find the little bitty screw if it falls. So let's get into this packaging. So here's the one side of the packaging. Here's the other side of the packaging. I think it's not too bad. I do wish it was just cardboard. I don't. I'm not a big fan of so much plastic waste, but whatever. Okay, just rip your package open. Now you can it's your package, open it however you want to open it. I choose to rip mine open. So we're going to get a smaller package of little things that are going to be the connectors and the screws. We're also going to get a bigger package that's going to be the base and some more connectors into the part of it. And finally, we're going to get the flexible metal arm. Ooh, it's flexible. Yes. Now, this arm is really cool. You can move it in all sorts of shapes. You can spin it around if you wanted to. It creaks occasionally, which is just a nice little touch. I think it's it's really just a fun little thing, and it hurts if you hit your arm with it, It's a nice little action figure arm, and I think it's very much worth the price for this. It's not too bad of a price either. So here's the bottom where this thing's going to plug in, but we're not going to mess with the bottom yet. I like first opening this package up that has the screws and all the little parts in part of it. So we're going to figure out how to open this package. There it is. Some of these little packages actually can just kind of fold open like an envelope. They have a top spot and that just opens up, and now we're going to just pull all this stuff out. Well, first, we've got to figure out what's in this. Okay, so this is one of the grabber arms. This is the screws, so we're going to set those in the lid. This is another grouping of grabber hands. Here's another grabber hand. And that's 3 grabber hands, and we should get a little bitty thing here, and this is the most important. The grabber hands are fun But you can't do anything with the flight stand without this unique piece here that has these two little strap things on it. They have holes on either side, and there's a little notch in the center. And then you have up here at the top, you have this little thing. It's got a post, so you can stick it into action figures and stuff, and the little back hole. And then it's got a tiny little hole in it where the screw goes through. And these three pieces are going to be very important for ensuring that your flight stand actually comes together properly. So make sure you don't lose these. You can lose these. You can't lose these. And just so you know, if you can't see, I was holding up the little hands that we're going to assemble. So first, we're going to set our unlosable parts up here next to the flight stand bar. So that's all together. Now we're going to open up our screws and just kind of pour them out so we don't have to worry about fiddling with this package anymore, because the screws never come in this package right. Like, the screw bag is always weird. It's shaped weird. It's like they did a rush job to put the screws in here. And if there's a method to this madness with these screws, I'm not seeing it. Somebody may know it, but I initially thought that they were like separated for different parts, but that's not the case. It's just a terrible screw bag here, but it's all right. I really wish that it had just been tissue paper. You know, that'd be a lot easier to deal with than this terrible, terrible bag. Okay, so all of our screws have been poured out in this little tray. We're gonna roll up all our screws over here. We got little screws and little nuts. Okay. All the screws are about the same size, little bitty screw, and then we have these little bitty nuts. So, yeah, nobody can say, you know, this flight stand's got big nuts. Okay, let's build one of our little arms by disassembling, you know, by pulling it out of its little slag area here. We got these pieces. Sometimes they don't want to come out, and I don't have any scissors with me to break them out, so we're just dealing with it. All right. Now we're going to move this piece here and move it around back and forth, and it's going to break off from the inside of the mold. Come on. There you go. Good piece. Okay, so that's that's the hands grabbed out of the mold, and now we got the connector piece we just took off. Now the mold is just trash plastic. We're going to set it there to recycle later. Next step, figure out which one of these hands can hold the nut and which one of these hands can hold the screw. There's a hole in the top that's big. And these guys did something I really appreciate. And it's that the hole that holds the nut is actually bigger than the one that holds the screw. So if your nut can fit into it, then it's the proper hole. There we go. Oh, wow. I did that first try. I can't. Wow. That never happens. A moment of silence for that amazingness. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to grab our other hand piece, and we're going to sandwich this little post that I talked about earlier. We're going to sandwich that between the two hand pieces. Hold it together with your thumb and forefinger. The forefinger's over the nut to keep it from falling out. Now we're going to come around here with a screw that we picked up from our lid, and we're going to thread the screw through all three of these parts. It's going to happen quite easily. We're just going to move some stuff around until we get that screw to thread through the holes. No, you don't thread through that way. There we go. Okay, the screw is now thread through all of the holes, but of course it's not connected. Keeping your forefinger over that nut at the bottom so it does not fall out, you need to then find your little screwdriver that came with the set. We're going to line up the screwdriver with the threads on the screw. If you're blind like me, this can be a bit of a hassle, but once you get them lined up, it's pretty easy. Thankfully, it's Phillips, and Phillips is really easy to line up. Go ahead and tighten that screw down and close the hand. Now you can tighten this down to the point where you can't open the hand like I just did, or I loosened it just a little bit. So you can have it where the hand is a little loose, or you can actually tighten it up where the hand is so tight nothing ever moves. So we did that real quick, and that's a very tight hand now. It's barely moving at all. And this is the tiny hand. I'm assuming this thing can better hold like female action figures or smaller action figures, things that have a small frame. And this is the hand that's appropriate for that. So we're done with that little hand. We're going to throw it in the bin of hands. Nuts. I just knocked something over. No, you weren't supposed to fall. It's okay. Happens all the time here. We just have to reattach him, and we're going to discuss how this happens when we build it, and exactly how I have these guys put on here when we get to that step. Let's go ahead and just put you back together. Okay. Hey, don't do that. No, bad. All right, let's pull out the U. Okay, we have an elbow here that we're using. He's just going to lay on his back real quick. Reattach the elbow there. There we go. And then nuts. I didn't want your little blast effect thing to fall off, but that's okay. We're just going to set it on the floor for now. Or the tabletop. We're going to come back up here. Level you out. Find that little spot between your legs. That's the peg hole. And has that got him? Are you on there? No. No. Where in the world did that peg hole go? Oh, there it is. Okay, I was in the wrong spot. There. Nuts. Right, we're just not going to worry about it. That's already taken too long to put back. We're building things. Let's go on to the second step. I don't know what else just fell, but we're not going to worry about it. Screwdriver and screws are accounted for. That's what matters. Let's now move this other piece here. So we're going to break off this other hand. I think this is, we just handled the small one. I think this is the medium. This could be the large, though. So that's one arm of the hand, or one of the fingers, phalanges of the hand removed from the mold. That's the second phalange. And then here at the top, we have the connector. Now, let's get ourselves a little nut and phrasing. And let's go ahead and connect it to this guy. Let's see. Do you fit in? You do! Yay! How did I do that the right way twice? Wow. Proud of myself right now, but we're going to move on. Okay. So, stack everything together. Take the screw, wherever that may be. Where are you at, Mr. Screw? Here we go. There's the screw. Now we're going to take the screw and thread it through. Hopefully, if we did it right, it's going to thread through all of them. Sometimes it does. It did! It did! Yay! Okay, so now we're going to take the screw and we're going to go ahead and attach it. Just tighten it down. Okay, now when you're doing this, make sure that the hand, you don't accidentally put the connector with this little connection piece, the little hole in the end that a peg goes into. Don't put that inside the hand, because you're going to have to disassemble everything to switch that back around. Just, not talking from experience here or anything like that. Totally didn't assemble this the wrong way on one of the stands. There we go. Tighten down, and we have another hand complete. So we're going to go ahead and throw that in the bin. Okay. Finally, we're going to get the last hand complete. Well, at least the one we have to screw. There's another hand that's interesting, and we're going to talk about that in a few moments. So we're going to wiggle this guy out. Okay. Separated. And then we're going to come over here, and we're going to separate this one from the other side. And really takes me back to my Gunpla days messing with this stuff. I miss building myself some Gunpla. I always regret that I never got around to building a perfect grade before I went blind. I always wanted to build a perfect grade. I love those Gundam model kits. They were so much fun. I'd sit there, and I actually had a little cabinet that had a pull-out drawer, and I'd assemble the Gundam on the cabinet with the pull-out drawer, and then when I was done for the day, I'd shove the drawer back into the cabinet and shut the doors, and then the cats couldn't mess with my Gunpla while I was building it. It worked out very well. Allowed me to keep the instructions open and all sorts of other things. Just kind of pause the project, and I could just put that project away for a little while. Nuts. Everything just fell apart, but luckily, I saved the nut. The nut didn't fall, but I did lose the center connector bit. Where did that go? Okay, we've got... Yeah, and that's the most dangerous time when you're doing the sandwich method. Because if something gets knocked off, it could just kind of shatter around and go everywhere. And, well, nuts. Did it land over here on this thing? Alright, I'm going to give this just a few more moments to look, and then we're going to say, oh well to that, and I will look for it when I shut the camera off, and I'm not wasting camera time spending it seeking a piece. Piece that is gone missing. Okay. Now let's not make my troubles worse, so we're just going to set those two arm pieces in the little tray for now. Maybe while I'm building everything else, I'm going to come across the other assembly bit. Now let's go ahead and move to the other part that's nice. The part that I think is, the most important, and this is where I hope we don't lose the connector piece, because we can't with this. It'd ruin everything. So, go ahead and take off these two bracket pieces. We have two of them, so remove them from the molding, and then take off the tiny little connector. Alright, once the two brackets and connector are off, find your metal pole. And this is where I did it wrong before. There's a plastic end that's tapered down on one end of the metal pole. That is not where we're connecting the brackets. We're connecting the brackets up here at the top of the pole. That is just metal all the way. These brackets are going to cover that section. So before connecting the brackets, I find it is easiest, it is so easy to just get the brackets started. So we're going to first put in, and it doesn't fit on this side, so that's not the bracket that holds the nuts. This is the bracket that holds the nuts right here. Let's double check that. Yes. All right. I found it's easiest to actually pre-assemble the bracket and then slide it onto the metal pole before tightening the bracket down and connecting it together. So trust me on this. I tried it the other way. It's a headache. This is the easiest way. We're going easy here. So work smart, not hard kind of thing. Now we're going to go ahead and connect the brackets, making, if you notice on the inside of the brackets, there's one that's flattened, and then there's another side of the bracket after this little half circle that has a step up and a step down kind of part. You want to make that piece is going to connect, the step down part is going to connect to this little connector piece. So the little bar piece. So we're just going to line everything up in my hands and make sure none of those nuts fall out. All right, lined up, lined up, lined up. Cool. Now let's go ahead and attach the back screw first, because that's the easiest to do. And well, actually, today we're just going to do it at the front area because this is falling apart really fast. Okay, here we go. Move that piece around. Come on. Come on now. There you go. There you go. Ah, and it went into the nut hole. Oh, phrasing. Okay, here's the screwdriver. Let's go ahead and attach that there. We just have to tighten it down so it doesn't fall apart on us. And last thing in the world we want is this guy falling apart on us. Oh, good. I actually did tighten it enough where nothing fell out. I think I may have lost the nut. Oh well. We'll find another one. Now let's go ahead and finish tightening this side down. There we go. Okay, that's tightened. Let's check. Is the nut in there still? No, it fell out. Nuts. Nuts. I'm missing my nut. Ah, found it. Okay, there it is. Let's go ahead and reattach it right there. Just slip it in. Perfect. And now we're going to come around here and find another screw. Let's get one screw, and we're going to slip that into the hole at the top. Kind of wiggle things around until we get it into that bottom area. Okay. Now this is the one part where they didn't give us a smaller screw for this smaller little connection, so just work with what you got. It's okay if the screw sticks out a little bit. It's quite all right. We're not trying for something like incredible here. And if you've does bother you a lot after you finish attaching everything, nothing's saying you can't take a little like grinder and just grind the end of that away. Let's unwind it just a little bit. Okay, let's get our metal pole. Where did my metal pole go? Here's my metal pole. Let's see, do we have enough room, squeezy room to shove that in there? We do! Yay! Okay, now the metal pole is slipped into that little hollow section revealed once we attach both brackets together. We are going to then come in here and we are going to tighten that front one down a bit more, and we're going to tighten this back one down a bit more. Don't do it too hard, because you know plastic does break after a while if it's put under too much pressure. So after you tighten it down, go ahead and give it just a little bit of an untightening. You don't want it to slide off of your metal bar, but neither do you want it on that metal bar so strong it bends the metal bar or it actually breaks itself. You don't want that, okay? You want this to stand up the test of time and be really nice. So we're just untwisting that just a bit. And then, of course, this one, we can adjust this front screw that has the connector port to tighten that up to make this a harder piece to maneuver around. That way our action figures sit more solid on the flight stand. Now that we have our metal bar assembly assembled, let's get to the actual bottom of the flight stand and open up this last bag and talk about it. So I'm going to open you up, Mr. Bag, and pull out the pieces here, and they're all just going to kind of fall out in one big gulp. Do this over a table. Don't do this standing beside the table or something, because there is an important part in here, and you don't want to lose it. So you're going to make sure you have your hexagonal flight stand, and then you're going to make sure you have this other little grabby hand. There's an important piece that we got to make sure we have. And that important piece should have been in this flight stand area. And that's the connector. That's another important piece that we're not giving extras of. If the big negative on this thing is that you don't get extras of some really vastly important pieces. Ah, look at that. It's in the bag still because it didn't want to come out. There it is. This, get off my finger, this little bitty rectangle that has 2 spokes on it and 4 little bitty notches on one side of it, and it's flat on the other. This is the thing that will connect all of your little hexagonal pads together. So you'll find one of the sides of the hexagon, you flip it upside down, and you'll see that there's all these little ports on the underside. We're going to line that spike up with the center port, and then if we do that, it will make it where everything on the either side will lock in, and it will make it not the best connection in the world, but it does keep them connected, where if you move one of them around, the others are going to move around with it, and of course this connection gets better the more of these guys you connect together. So like I said, very important that you got this piece, and I just wish that they had given us 2 of those pieces with each flight stand. I do believe that would have been better. Now we get this other little mold that comes out of our flight stand bottom, and one of them is this thing that looks like the top of a corkscrew. It's got the 2 little hole things you can spin around. Something that I think winding up one of those clockwork toys. It's like a little key for that. Now we're going to grab 2 of our little, whatever these guys are called, these little arm things. They come in this, and we're just going to break you guys off. Now each of these is going to connect into this thing that looks like a clockwork key, and they're going to go into those 2 pieces that stick out that have holes in them that make me think of the key section. And we're going to get our biggest grabby hand of all. This one's got some width on it, and this thing can hold things like the Juggernaut or something like that. This is a big connector piece, a big connector claw. The only sad part is there's not much friction there, so you got to be careful what you grab with it, and you may want to use glue on these connectors once you get this arm design shifted around the action figure you intend to pick up. I would suggest using some glue over here to hold these arms in place, give you more stability for those larger action figures. All right, and finally we get our U, or elbow shape. This elbow has a female port and a male port, and this one was terribly designed. Wow. Somebody really screwed this one up. Look at that. That is some flaw right there. So not all of these guys are going to be great, okay? I am telling you that. I have come across some quality control issues, like with this elbow. Where's my metal bar? Okay, so this elbow, you're supposed to fit the port in, and it still works. This elbow still works as a good elbow. It's just got that notch cut out the side of it. It makes it feel wonky. But now that we've discussed all that stuff, I'm going to put the elbow in amongst with the other arms, and we're going to take our metal post here, and we have a lot of places we can put it. You can put it at the corner of any of these hex moments. You can also stick it in the center. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different spots where you can put your post for this action figure stand. So you can have action figures all over the place. If you connect 2 posts together and you want to have them like, you know, it's Gene and Scott flying around holding hands, then you can set each of the flight stands on the very corners, and that will help keep the characters closer together so they can do the nice hand-holding scene. Or if you want to do, you know, a DBZ style thing, and now it's not coming out. There it goes. If you want to do more of a DBZ style thing, where you have 2 characters that are directly opposed to each other, but they have to have some space in order to power up their attacks, you can go to the further end, and then you have a nice little area. There's a lot of versatility with this type of flight stand that I really do appreciate. And there's all these little holes, all these tiny little port holes all around it, so that you can plug all sorts of things in. You know, funny enough, you can actually unplug this guy from there, and then you can take and plug the end of this flight stand into one of those tiny little holes like that. There it is. And now if you had a bigger connection port for another figure, you could have something like that, like a bigger action figure that had a bigger flight port on it, and you want something to kind of act as a third leg to really help keep that action figure standing. This could be a way to go for you. But lots of versatility here. This is easy to assemble, so easy a blind man can do it, so I know that you can do it too. It's affordable. It gives you something that's versatile. It also gives you a flight stand arm that's not going to just randomly snap in half on you. I mean, yeah, this thing may bend and it may give way after years of use, but it's not going to snap on you and cause you to jump out of your skin because it's a quiet night and suddenly there's a boom, you know, freaking me out. But that's what I think about this. I actually do believe this is one of the better flight stands out there, and I do highly recommend picking one up for yourself. Thank you all so much for watching today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe if you want to help me raise awareness for the blind and visually impaired. Until next Prime, bye-bye for now.